Hey everyone, it's Emily. Today's video is going to be something a little bit different. I wanted to give you 5 books that I think I will be giving 5 stars to. And this is coming from someone that doesn't give 5 stars, maybe not ever, but very rarely. I feel like my favorite books might be like 4.5 stars, and sometimes they will get a 5 stars. So it was pretty difficult for me to commit to 5 books that I think I will be giving 5 stars to. Maybe they will get 4.5, but I mean, they would still be very good. But I do think that these 5 books will be getting 5 stars. I'm gonna start with the one I'm the most sure about, slash, I don't think I've ever been asked more about a book than this one. Everyone, at least once a week, I get asked, have you read this book? Have you read this book? And no, I haven't. I'm keeping it for last. And by saying that, most people will know what I'm talking about. And it is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I just found this at my library sale, and I may have scrolled a little bit. Because obviously, great deal. It's a huge book. This is the first book in the Stormlight Archive series. There are going to be 10 books, but you can read them like 5. So I'm kind of waiting for the first 5 books to be completed because I hate waiting for the next book in a series. And obviously, as awesome as Brandon Sanderson is, it still takes time to write those like 1,000 pages books, and especially since he has a bajillion series. And clearly I love his writing. I have like his shelf right here and I'm going through his books like one by one and keeping this for last, so I still get to read his writing. And I know a lot of people say that this is the best he's ever written, and another reason to keep it for last. So I will be reading this eventually, and now that I have found the first book, it will become a little harder to not read it. But if you don't know anything, Brandon Sanderson is really great at writing epic fantasy series, mostly adult. He does have like a few YA or middle grade ones, like the Reckoner series right here, which was okay. Like, it's obviously still good because it's still from Brandon Sanderson, but I don't think I liked it as much as his adult stuff. So I know I'm gonna love this. I know I'm gonna give this 5 stars, but I'm trying to wait because I don't want to wait too long in between books. It just sucks to wait, right? And I think we've all been traumatized about waiting. So yes, I will definitely be reading this. I'm super excited to do so, but I'm keeping it for as long as possible on my shelf unread because... But I know I'm gonna give this 5 stars, so it's kind of hard to like not read it because, I mean, I'm delaying the pleasure here. I mean, it's not a bad thing because I know I'm going to enjoy this, so if I have a rough day, I can like look forward to reading this, but I don't want to wait. If you don't know anything, he's amazing at writing epic fantasy books with amazing world building and magic system, and very often there's also some religion, and it's just always so well done. Plus, every book is so different. Like, there's nothing that is the same, so he's just so creative, and you'll definitely love it. And if you want to start with something, Warbreaker is available online PDF on his website. So it's a great way to start if you want to see if it's for you. But yes, most of his books I've given like 4.5 stars to, or 5 stars. So I'm pretty damn sure I'm going to give this one 5 stars. So you know how I mentioned we don't like to wait? Well, I think whenever we think of that, we either think of Game of Thrones or The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And I haven't read this series yet because, I mean, everyone has been waiting for the 3rd book for like 7 years, I think, and it doesn't look like it's going to be completed anytime soon, so people have been really frustrated about it. And it's the reason that even though I have the 1st book, the 2nd book, and the little novella, I've not started reading it because I don't want to wait. I don't like to wait, and everyone seems to really love this, and I'm pretty sure I will too. If you don't know anything, this one is also a epic fantasy series where the main character basically tells his life story to someone that will just write about it, and there are 3 different days, and each book is 1 day of him telling his story. And during the present tense, he's just telling a story of how he became basically this like really famous magician, and then you're just gonna go and follow him. Magical schools is always something I want to read about, so very curious to read it. But I've been just delaying it. I'm so scared to be one of those people that has to wait, you know? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna crack and end up reading it next year or maybe the year after. I know it's coming, and I'm hoping I'm gonna give it 5 stars because if I've waited this much and I end up hating it, it's gonna be actually kind of funny. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna give this 5 stars too, so. So that's 2 epic fantasy, which you're gonna notice there are quite a few that I believe I will give 5 stars to. I feel like it's one of the genre that I read the most of, or I look forward to the most. So those are the first 2. The next one is a classic, and it's in French, and it is Le Comte de Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. The edition that I have is in 2 books, which, you know, it's a big book when they do that. Actually, I kind of like the covers. They're very classic for the period. And I feel like everyone kind of knows what this is about since there have been a bunch of movies on it, but this is the most epic revenge story, and I feel like I've tried to read it as a kid because I had a weird period where I was reading a bunch of classics, but you're just following the main character, what's his first name? Is it Edmond Dantes? And he's wrongfully imprisoned for like, is it 20 years, 19 years, 13 years? Something like that. And then when he get out, he tries to find a treasure to become rich and then just get his revenge against the person that used to be his best friend, but that made him go to prison type of thing. I will be able to give more details after I read it because I'm actually planning on reading this summer. So we'll see if I actually end up giving it 5 stars this year. But I'm kind of nervous because obviously it's quite big, it's quite epic, and I haven't read in French in a real long time, but I think it's going to be something that I will be enjoying a lot. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up giving this 5 stars, and I feel like a lot of people end up giving this 5 stars, so I mean, same thing with these 2, definitely very, very popular, but I'm hopeful that I will be able to give this 5 stars. At least there's one classic in here and not just fantasy, because the rest is pretty much fantasy too. The next one is a trilogy, and I have the first book here, which is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. And this I don't know a lot about because I kind of prefer to go into books not knowing too much. But a lot of people say that this is kind of in between fantasy and sci-fi, and I feel like most people like both. Boats? Yeah, you like boats. But most people like both. But sometimes some people like fantasy but not sci-fi, and this might be a great way of just having a mix of both. But I believe in this one, it's a world where there's been like 5 times, like 5 seasons where everything died or everyone like... I don't really remember the details since it was just reviews I had heard, but there's a mix of sci-fi and fantasy here. So there's a magic system. Plus, this book is actually the only one in here that has been written by a woman, and actually a woman of color. And I think it's not necessarily just my fault here. It's definitely not super common in fantasy and sci-fi. And the women that are there are not as popular, not as raved about, and you have to like look for them a bit more, which is unfortunate. So I'm really happy to include this in this video, and I'm also obviously looking forward to reading it, and hopefully I will actually end up giving it 5 stars and I'll be able to rave about it. But she's still fairly popular. And this is also the series that you hear the most about from her, and it's also the most recent. And I decided to replace in my top... This year, basically, one of my goals is to read big books because they scare the crap out of me. And I had put this trilogy from her. This is the Inheritance trilogy. And let's be real, I'm really, really scared by this. You can actually kill someone with it. So I decided to replace this by this trilogy, just because it's obviously 3 books, but they're kind of shorter, and I feel like I will be less scared to read this. I still want to read this eventually, but I think I'm more excited to read this one since it's the most recent one, and I've heard so many people raving about this. I feel like the reviews are a little bit more all over the place, but this seems to be overall very positive. So I'm cheating here. It's okay though, it's my own challenge, so I can do whatever the hell I want. But yes, I am fairly sure I'm gonna end up giving this 5 stars. I'm really hoping to. I should be reading this year since it will be in my challenge. So another book that we will be able to find out before the end of the year if I actually end up giving it 5 stars too. So I kind of partially feel a little bad to be a little chicken and not reading this one this year. Actually, let me know your favorite fantasy and sci-fi that were either written by a person of color or a woman of color, because I feel like I don't have enough on my shelves and even on my TBR. So last but not least, I needed to include another high fantasy series written by a white guy actually. And it is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. And this has been raved about so much. Also something that a lot of people have been asking me if I have read it or to just recommend me to read it ASAP because it's apparently really, really good. But it is also a series that isn't completed, and the author, I believe he got sick or something happened, so things have been pushed back a little bit. So obviously makes you a little worried to start it, but a lot of people were comparing it to Ocean 11 and like The Godfather, and you're following two thieves or a group of thieves, and it's very common in fantasy, but everyone is saying how funny it is, and I'm dying to read it. And again, I do have the first book on my shelf, so I just need to do it. But what if I don't give it 5 stars? You know, I've been looking forward to reading it. Or what if I end up loving it, read all the books that are out, and then I have to wait? I need to get over that fear, but I feel like my TBR is already so long that I can focus on other books, and then when I finally don't have to wait, I can finally go and have fun with them. Is that a good idea or not? I don't know. But I'm fairly certain that we'll end up giving this 5 stars. I'm very excited about it. And I know the second book you're following a woman that is a pirate, which just sounds really awesome. I feel like it's not super common in fantasy, especially written by a guy, so I'm really excited. This was my top 5 video about books that I'm pretty damn sure I'll end up giving 5 stars to. Let me know in the comment section what books you think you'll end up giving 5 stars to. Are you planning on reading these too? Have you read those? Did you give them 5 stars? Will I enjoy them? Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss any future videos. And I will be putting on the screen the videos that I've done that I recommend you check out. And I will see you in my next one. Bye. Anyone else is excited that I was able to find this? I'm so happy. Now I need to find a second one. I feel like the third one's gonna be hard to find, but I'm fairly sure I can find a second one used.